Good evening, everyone. Good to see you. Very glad you're here, and yeah, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the show, the place, quiet little corner of the internet where we do a little drinking and a little thinking. So, come join me if you will. I'd be honored if you would. And bring your drink of choice, of course. I won't judge. But tonight I brought the old chamomile tea, which is a fantastic way to ease into the weekend, you know? So, yeah. That being said, cheers to you. And Jesus too. Hmm. Well, tonight just wanted to have a quick discussion on mandates and lockdowns. It's the hot topic right now, and I see a lot of people on the internet, mainstream news, and radio. People are asking whether or not they're constitutional. And the thing I see, and maybe this is just me, but there's a lot of citing of court cases, legal precedent, laws, this and that. But the odd thing that I see missing from whether or not mandates and lockdowns, whether or not they're constitutional, is the Constitution. I don't see anybody discussing what the Constitution says about mandates and lockdowns, or what it doesn't say or what it does say. Nobody seems to be discussing the Constitution. So I just wanted to start the discussion. So I have my handy dandy copy, my pocket Constitution of the United States, and I thoroughly encourage you to pick one up at your local bookstore or online retailer if you must. They're pretty cheap. I mean, I think I got this for like $1. I haven't seen any of these more than like $2, and I live in California, so things are a little more pricey here. But I mean, when discussing the constitutionality of lockdowns and mandates, we have to ask ourselves, does the Constitution even address these issues? And that's a good question, very good question, to which I must answer, yes, yes, it does. And to answer that question, we will turn to the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. And specifically, we're going to go to the First Amendment, where we are going to find our answer to this question. And it reads a little something like this: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And there you have it. Now you may be asking, what does the First Amendment have to do with lockdowns and mandates? Well, it's this little section right here. The right of the people peacefully to assemble. We have a right to peacefully assemble. Case closed, end of story. Now, I know the more legal-minded people, lawyers, judges, internet people, they're going to, a lot of them try to tie the two last sections together. They try to say that the right of the people peacefully assemble is to petition the government, right? The last two, they want to smush those together. But that's wrong. That's not right. The First Amendment is a list, and it lists items that are separated by commas. We have the right to peaceful assembly, comma, and to petition the government. They're two separate things. We don't just get to assemble just to petition the government. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? They're separated by commas, they're separate items. Think about it. The freedom of speech. Do we only have freedom of speech to petition the government? No, we have freedom of speech to use it however we see fit, right? And nobody's making the argument that you only have the freedom of speech to petition the government. That would be silly, right? What about religion? I mean, does religion only exist to petition the government? No. What about the press? Does the press only exist to petition the government, to serve as an outlet for the people to petition the government? No. And nobody makes that argument ever. You have the right to a free press, comma, freedom of speech, comma, religion, comma. These are separate things. So don't let people try to trick you or make it sound more complicated than it is. You have the right to peacefully assemble. And there you go. But there's more, of course. There's more. What does that look like? You know, because it's one thing to just say we have the right to peacefully assemble, and a lot of people shrug their shoulders and say, oh, okay, but what does that mean? What does that look like? How does that work? You know, let's break it down a little more. And luckily, I brought my notes, because if I didn't, we'd be here all night. Keep me on track. But yeah, peaceful assembly, what does it mean? If you want to get together with your friends, right, in your house or their house or whatever, can you do that? Of course, you can. Of course, right? That's peaceful assembly. You're hanging out with your friends, peacefully having a good time. That counts. What if Grandma wants to have a knitting session, right? She wants to get together with all the ladies and make scarves or something. She can do that. That's peaceful assembly. I mean, yeah, hanging out with people for peaceful purposes. It's a big blanket that all falls under. Does it matter how many people? Is there a limit to how many? You know, no, it doesn't say that. It says we have a right to assemble. So you can have 2 people or you can have 1,000,000. Doesn't matter. You have a right to assemble as long as you're peaceful. You can get together. Does it say where, right? Does it say, well, you can only meet here, there, or, you know, in this location? No, it doesn't matter. And if you want to meet at your home or your friend's home, you know, or a stadium or a park, right? Doesn't matter. Peaceful assembly. You know, some of the more controversial things coming up, but do you need a permit? Do you need permission from the government to peacefully assemble with your friends and family or like-minded individuals? No, you don't. That's not what it says. You have a right to peaceful assembly. So, and this is getting off on a little tangent, but you know, permits are unconstitutional. The government doesn't, you don't need permission to assemble. You don't need the government's permission. The government doesn't get to tell you whether or not you can meet. Now, obviously, there's time constraints and location constraints, right? If 2 groups want to meet in the park or something, you know, they either have to share it or, you know, take turns or something, but honestly, we're adults. We can figure this out, right? I mean, but the point is, you know, the permit, the government charging people money, getting permission, that's wrong, all right? Now, if the government wants to be the arbiter, you know, the decider between groups, you know, if so-and-so wants to use the park this day and they want to use it on the same day, well, the government will say, okay, you know, step in. That's fine, right? But, you know, actually go and ask permission to charge a fee, that's just wrong. Just going to throw it out there. It's wrong. So, does it say you can only peacefully assemble if you socially distance? No, doesn't say that either. What if you're up to date on your shots? Does it say that you, if you're not up to date on your shots, that you can and can't go, leave your house, go to the park? No, it doesn't. Doesn't say that either, does it? You can go anywhere you want. You can go to the craft fair, you can go to the farmer's market, all these things, regardless of whether or not you're up to date on your shots. Now here's a fun one that I like to bring up that I don't see anybody else bring up. What about your job? What about your place of business? Is that peaceful assembly? Yes, it is. Think about it. I mean, what's more peaceful than people coming together to peacefully exchange goods and services? I mean, think about it, right? Your job, you're getting together, you're making something happen, you're doing business, you're making products, you're selling services, you're cutting trees, you're mowing lawns, you're managing TPS reports, I mean, whatever it is, you know? That's peaceful assembly. Or what if you own a business, right? That's peaceful assembly. You know, you're doing your thing peacefully. The government doesn't get to tell you whether or not you're essential and your business needs to be closed or you got to stay home or whatever. No, that's wrong. That's unconstitutional. And you notice I say wrong a lot. I'm not gonna sit here and make a ton of legal arguments. That's to me, I don't really care what about words written on paper by, people. I care about moral stuff. Is this right? Is this wrong? Because more often than not, laws written by people have ended up with terrible consequences, and people have done horrible things in the name of legality. So I use that word wrong a lot, and I mean that in every sense of the word. It's morally wrong. To me, everything is moral or not moral. I don't look at legality. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Place of business, work. Just want to throw it out there, like back in the day, back in the BC times, you had the stick tribe and the rock tribe, and they would look at each other and, oh, you have sticks and you have rocks. And then they would go to war. They would kill each other for the resources. And then one day somebody figured out, like, hey, if we trade some of our sticks for some of your rocks, we don't have to kill each other, right? I really can't think of hardly anything that's more peaceful than getting together to engage in commerce. And it clearly falls under peaceful assembly. So, no, the government doesn't get to deem you essential. They don't get to tell you that you gotta stay home and you can't go to your job or whatever. That's just wrong. Oh, and on that same note, and I covered this in my other First Amendment video, I think, but, kind of another side note. That includes, the First Amendment includes the right to travel, on that same note, because we have the right to peacefully assemble. And if we can't travel, we can't peacefully assemble. Does that make sense? So, the government can't tell you that you can't leave your house. Because if you can't leave your house, you can't assemble peacefully with other people. Yeah, once again, it's wrong. You have a right to travel. The government doesn't get to ask for your papers. They don't get to set up checkpoints and roadblocks, all this stuff, like in the Soviet Union or China or whatever, because it's our right to peacefully assemble. And if we can't travel, we can't assemble. Therefore, we have the right to travel. Yeah. Now, I know if they're looking for, serial killers, or they're trying to set up something for a criminal, high-speed chase sort of thing, there's always going to be special circumstances. But as always, those are limited, and they need to have an extreme need before they do those. Once again, we have the past to reference. We've kind of already solved this. I don't think it's a problem. Right? Yeah. So there you have it. If people ask you whether or not mandates and lockdowns are constitutional, hopefully, you'll reach the same conclusion that I have, which honestly is the correct one. No, they're not. And one final note before I take off. I know a lot of people on the lefty side, right? And even surprisingly conservatives, who are a little more older, a little more prone to sickness. They've told me, they've actually said, well, hey, Dave, that's all well and good. We have the right to peaceful assembly. But this is a special circumstance, talking about those special circumstances. This is one of them, is it not? There's a sickness going around, a virus, it's deadly. It's, leaving people sick. It's doing horrible things. Doesn't that count for something? Aren't you concerned about this? Doesn't that kind of have some limitations on the Constitution? To which I would reply, yes. Yes, this is a special circumstance. Yes, people are getting sick. Yes, this is a problem. But no, you don't get to limit my constitutional rights. And hear me out on this. There's a very easy solution to all of this. And I'm surprised that everybody forgot this, all right? You ready for it? If you're sick, stay home. I mean, did you all forget? If you're sick, stay home. Easy. Guys, this is easy. You're sitting around saying, "Oh, you're hurting everybody. You're killing people." No, I'm not. I'm not sick, right? And look, this isn't the first sickness that has gone global. I mean, I'm not even that old, and I can think of a half a dozen sicknesses in my lifetime that we've gone through, and I haven't seen nearly the level of fear and just anxiety for this one. And for the life of me, I don't realize why. Guys, why are you like this? What's going on here? Just a couple years ago, swine flu, anybody remember that one? And what did we do during swine flu? Same stuff we've always been doing as a species. You know, that humanity has been doing for quite a long time, right? If you're sick, stay home. And we got through it. We got through the swine flu. We got through SARS in 2001 and Ebola and West Nile and all the other ones. Nobody's talking about swine flu anymore. Except for me, because I'm bringing it up because nobody's talking about it. I mean, guys, really? I don't understand. Why are you so scared? We've got this figured out. This is nothing. This is easy. If you're sick, stay home, right? I mean, if you are sick, then yes, you are a threat to people around you, you know? But I'm not sick. I don't have a fever. I don't have a runny nose. I don't have a cough. I don't have the sniffles. I'm not sweating. I don't have extreme fatigue. I'm fine, guys. I'm fine. And I'm sure probably most of you watching this video are fine too. So guess what? You don't get to do that to me. You don't get to lock me in my home. You don't get to tell me my job is essential or non-essential. You don't get to shut down my business. You don't get to do any of that because I am not a threat. Right? Easy, guys. I mean, even the word quarantine, right? Let's open up a history book. All right? Taking it back here. The word quarantine comes from Italy, right? Back in the Middle Ages. They'd already figured this out. Sick people spread sickness. So what did they do? People coming in on the ships in the ports or people in their homes, they would quarantine them in the ships in the harbor. They would quarantine them in their homes and they wouldn't let them out until they were better. This is the Middle Ages, guys. They didn't even know what bacteria was. And they had this figured out. And even the word quarantine, it was something like 40 days or 4 weeks. It's something to do with the number 4. That's how long they kept you. And it makes sense. If you are sick, then yeah, for the good of society, you need to stay put. And I literally, I don't think you could find anybody that would disagree with that. I'm not going to disagree with that because that would be an outrageous argument. But then again, let's flip it around to another outrageous argument. That's the one that you're going to make, Mr. Lefty. You're treating every single person like they're diseased. That's just absurd. That's outrageous. And it's wrong. It's just wrong, guys. So there it is. Kind of had a few technical difficulties with the computer, so I'm just going to pick up here where I left off. But I think I made a pretty good case. Mandates and lockdowns are not constitutional. We have the right to peacefully assemble, and lockdowns and mandates infringe on that. We have the right to travel, because if we can't travel, we can't assemble peacefully. If you're sick, stay home, right? Because, lefties are half right. If there's a sickness and you are a threat, then you don't get to be a threat. You do need to stay home. But if you're perfectly fine, you're healthy, then we need to live our lives. I mean, just look at what this has done to the economy and everything. I mean, being afraid I don't want to go on another tangent again, but I think you all see what's going on. I really do. I think you guys are pretty smart. So, like I said, unconstitutional. So, go out, go forth, and spread the word of liberty and freedom, and unlock yourselves. Anyway, I shall dismount the soapbox now. Really hope you got something out of that. And I hope you leave me a comment below for any show notes, links, descriptions, shout outs to good friends, good people. Anybody I link is going to be a good person, So check them out. Yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I full of nonsense? Am I an idiot? Yeah, I probably am. I don't know how I wake up most mornings, to be honest. But hey, alright. I hit it sometimes, alright? I have good ideas every now and then. Usually it's because I read it somewhere else. But, when I got it, alright? Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope you'll tune in again. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And I hope things work out for you. Whatever it is, if you got any goals, life goals, projects, stuff you're working on, I wish the best for you, and I hope it all works out. And if you're struggling, keep you in my thoughts and prayers. And I thoroughly encourage you to, just reach out, We're stronger together. I really believe that, and if you try to do it yourself, it's hard. You're putting a lot of work on yourself that honestly is just dragging you down, Sometimes it's good to just let it all out and, help each other out. And honestly, people on the other end of that spectrum, if you're doing well, I encourage you to help somebody out that's not doing well. Because it feels good. It feels good to help each other out, Treating others the way we want to be treated, right? Golden rule. That stuff isn't just, mumbo jumbo. Like, it feels good to help people out. Or at least it should. Or you might just be a bad person. Maybe. I'm not going to judge, but there's a high correspondence there, so just say. Anyway, I think that's about it. So, yeah. Take care, everyone. Good night.